"Attention, esteemed members of the Galactic Council," the alien voice echoed, resonating with authority. "Our most critical matter is before us today." A low murmur rippled through the chamber. "They call themselves humans," another voice chimed in, dripping with skepticism. "Humans? Are they not the primitive species from the third planet in that yellow star system?" "They are," the first voice replied, grimly. "But primitive no longer fits. These creatures have surpassed all expectations." A third voice, sharp and impatient, broke in. "Surpassed expectations? They barely achieved interstellar travel." "Indeed," the first voice said, pausing for effect. "But they did it faster than any of us. And that's not the problem." "Then what is?" asked a towering figure with emerald green skin, its eyes narrowing. "The problem, Counselor Xerex, is their refusal to engage with us." Another voice, smooth and deliberate, entered the conversation. "You're suggesting they've ignored every attempt at diplomacy?" "Not ignored," the first voice corrected. "Rejected. Every overture, every envoy, every message has been met with one response: silence." The room grew tense. Even the flickering lights on the walls seemed to dim. "Perhaps they don't understand," one counselor suggested, attempting to sound reasonable. "They understand," the first voice countered. "We ensured our language protocols were flawless." "The humans chose silence." A voice, deep and metallic, rumbled from the far end of the chamber. "Perhaps they see us as a threat. After all, we are the Galactic Council." The first speaker sighed, frustration creeping into their tone. "Counselor Drethax, we represent unity and peace. Why would they see us as a threat?" "Because," Drethax replied slowly, "humans do not trust power they cannot control." The silence in the room grew heavier, punctuated only by the faint hum of distant machinery. "Then what do we do?" another voice asked, tinged with desperation. "They are expanding rapidly. If they won't talk to us, how do we prevent chaos?" "We must send another envoy," Xerex declared, standing tall. "A representative so skilled, so neutral, they cannot refuse." The first voice hesitated. "We've already sent envoys." The last one vanished upon entering their system. Drethax leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "And the envoy before that?" "Returned in pieces," the first voice admitted, softly. A collective gasp filled the chamber. This is madness," someone shouted. "Are they savages?" "No," Xerex said calmly. "They are something far more dangerous." "And what, Xerex, could possibly be more dangerous than savages?" Xerex's eyes glowed faintly as he spoke. "Strategic thinkers." "Strategic?" Drethax scoffed. "Destroying an envoy isn't strategy. It's recklessness." "Not if it sends a message," Xerex countered. "And the message is clear. Stay away." The chamber fell into a heavy silence, the weight of Xerex's words settling over the council like a shroud. "But why, Xerex?" a counselor asked, their voice wavering. "Why would they reject peace? Reject unity?" Xerex's glowing eyes turned to the speaker. "Because to them, our peace might look like conquest. Our unity might feel like control." The first voice interjected, sharp with indignation. "We have brought nothing but progress and prosperity to every species we've encountered. And that is precisely why they fear us," Xerex replied. "Humans value independence above all else. They see our prosperity as a leash." A new voice, deep and commanding, echoed from the center of the room. "Then we must make them understand that we are no threat. Show them our intentions are pure." Xerex turned toward the speaker, his expression unreadable. "And how do you propose we do that, High Chancellor Ryrex? Another envoy? Another failure?" The High Chancellor's shimmering blue form flickered for a moment as he pondered. "We will not send another envoy. We will go as a council." Gasps erupted around the room, followed by immediate objections. "The entire council? That's unprecedented. They might see it as an invasion." "This is reckless, Chancellor." Ryrex raised a hand, silencing the uproar. "If they see us as invaders, it will confirm their fears. But if we go openly, without force or deception, they may listen. And if they don't?" Xerex asked coldly. What happens when they react to our presence as they did to the last envoy? The High Chancellor's gaze hardened. Then we will know they are beyond reason, and we will act accordingly. Across the galaxy, deep within the Sol system, a lone figure sat in a dimly lit command room. Status report, the figure said, his voice firm and steady. A younger officer turned from his console, his face tight with concern. Another signal from the Galactic Council, sir. Same as before. Diplomatic overtures, promises of peace. The figure leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. And our response? The officer swallowed nervously. The automated system sent the standard reply. A faint smirk played on the commander's lips. Good. Let them stew in their confusion. Permission to speak freely, Commander, the officer asked, hesitating. Granted. Why don't we just respond? At least hear them out. The smirk vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating expression. Do you know what happens to civilizations that trust too easily, Lieutenant? The younger man hesitated. They get absorbed or destroyed. Exactly, the commander said, his tone sharp. The moment we open the door, we lose control. And control is the only thing keeping us alive. But sir, the lieutenant pressed, what if they truly mean no harm? What if they can help us? The commander's gaze bore into him. And what if their help comes with chains? No, Lieutenant. Humanity doesn't bow. Not to gods, not to empires, and certainly not to alien councils. Back at the Galactic Council, preparations were underway for an unprecedented journey. Are the ships ready? Ryrex asked, pacing the Grand Hall. They are, Drethax replied, his metallic voice steady. But I question the wisdom of this mission. Ryrex stopped, turning to face him. You question my wisdom often, Drethax. Perhaps that is why I keep you close. And yet you rarely listen, Drethax said, his tone clipped. Humans are not like the others. They will not welcome us with open arms. Ryrex's eyes glimmered with determination. Then we will show them they have nothing to fear. We will come unarmed, our ships open and transparent. Transparent? Xerex said, stepping into the conversation. To a species that values secrecy as much as they value independence? They'll see it as weakness. Perhaps, Ryrex admitted. But it is a risk we must take. For the sake of the galaxy. Xerex's voice dropped, almost to a whisper. Or for the sake of your legacy. Ryrex stiffened but said nothing. On Earth, the commander watched the skies, his jaw set with resolve. Sir, the lieutenant said, breaking the silence. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple vessels entering the system. Their trajectory suggests they're headed straight for us. The commander's lips pressed into a thin line. So, they're coming to us directly. Brave or foolish? What are your orders, sir? The commander's eyes gleamed with a mix of caution and defiance. Prepare the orbital defenses and send a message to the council. The lieutenant hesitated. A message, sir? The commander nodded, his voice low and firm. Yes, tell them. We don't negotiate under pressure. The Galactic Council's fleet approached the Sol system with unmatched elegance. Their shimmering, organic ships glided effortlessly through space, radiating light as if they carried the hope of 1,000 worlds. Inside the lead vessel, High Chancellor Ryrex stood on the observation deck, flanked by Xerex and Drethax. We are entering their system now, Xerex announced, his tone wary. Earth's orbital defenses are formidable. Ryrex stared out at the blue planet in the distance. Formidable or not, we come in peace. Let's hope they understand that. Drethax's metallic voice cut through the hopeful silence. Hope is not a strategy, Chancellor. The communications officer turned toward them, their multiple eyes blinking in rapid succession. Chancellor, we are receiving a transmission from the humans. Ryrex straightened. Play it. The officer nodded, and a human voice filled the chamber. Calm, deliberate, and unmistakably firm. This is Commander Elias Grant of Earth's Defense Network. You are entering restricted space. State your intentions or face immediate retaliation. Xerex raised a brow. Polite for a warning. Ryrex stepped forward. Open a channel. Let us show them we mean no harm. The officer complied, and Ryrex's voice resonated through the vastness of space. This is High Chancellor Ryrex of the Galactic Council. We come not as invaders, but as friends. We wish only to talk. There was a long pause. The silence felt oppressive. Finally, Commander Grant's voice returned, colder than before. Talk about what? About peace, Ryrex replied. About cooperation. Humanity's potential is vast, and the galaxy would benefit greatly from your participation in our union. The response was immediate and unyielding. We're not interested. Zerex's eyes narrowed. They didn't even hesitate. Ryrex held up a hand. Commander Grant, I urge you to reconsider. The galaxy faces challenges that no single species can tackle alone. Together, we can... Grant cut him off. Together, we'll lose what makes us human. That's not a risk we're willing to take. Drethak stepped forward, his voice low and menacing. Perhaps they require a demonstration of our power. No. Ryrex snapped, turning to glare at him. We will not use force. Grant's voice returned, sharp as a blade. If you're considering using force, let me be clear. Humanity will respond in kind. And you won't like the outcome. The tension in the room was palpable. Commander, Ryrex said, his tone softer now. Surely you must see the benefits of cooperation. Your species has achieved so much, but think of what you could accomplish with the resources of the entire galaxy at your disposal. Grant's response was measured, deliberate. We've heard those promises before. They always come with a cost. There is no cost, Ryrex insisted. We only seek to unite, to share knowledge and prosperity. And what happens, Grant countered, when we disagree? When humanity doesn't follow your united vision? Do you force us to comply? Assimilate us into your system? Ryrex hesitated. I thought so, Grant said, his voice heavy with finality. Here's humanity's answer. We will thrive or fail on our own terms. Turn your ships around and leave our system. The transmission ended abruptly. On board the Council's lead vessel, the silence was deafening. They are stubborn, Ryrex muttered. Arrogant. They are determined, Ryrex said, almost in admiration. But this isn't over. We can still... Chancellor, the communications officer interrupted. Multiple human vessels are approaching. Their weapons are armed. Drethak stepped forward, his metallic frame radiating tension. This is an act of aggression. We must respond in kind. No, Ryrex said firmly. We will not provoke them further. All ships, hold position. Zerex's voice was laced with frustration. Chancellor, if we do not act, we may not get another chance to assert our authority. And if we act, Ryrex shot back, we may start a war that will destroy us all. The human ships surrounded the Council's fleet, their sleek designs bristling with advanced weaponry. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Grant's voice returned, colder than before. You've overstayed your welcome. This is your final warning. Leave now, or we will open fire. Ryrex stepped toward the console. Commander Grant, there is no need for violence. We mean you no harm. Then prove it, Grant interrupted. Leave. Ryrex looked at his council, his expression heavy with defeat. Chancellor, Zerex said softly, we cannot stay. To do so would risk annihilation. Ryrex closed his eyes, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. All ships, he said finally, his voice heavy with regret, prepare to withdraw. The fleet began to turn, their luminous forms retreating from Earth's orbit. As the Council ships disappeared into the void, Grant leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. Think they'll be back? The lieutenant asked cautiously. Maybe, Grant replied. But next time, they'll know we're not afraid to stand our ground. The lieutenant hesitated before speaking again. Sir, do you think we made the right call? Grant stared out at the stars, his expression unreadable. Time will tell, Lieutenant. But one thing's certain, humanity's fate is ours to decide, not theirs. In the depths of space, Ryrex stood alone in his chamber, staring at the holographic image of Earth. They could have been great allies, he murmured. Or dangerous enemies, Zerex said, stepping into the room. Perhaps it's better this way. Ryrex's gaze didn't waver. Perhaps. But I can't help wondering, what happens when they grow powerful enough to come for us? Xerex's expression darkened. Then we'll see if their independence was worth it. The image of Earth flickered, then vanished, leaving the chamber in darkness.